All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to the STBY, the college football show. Wherever have you listening, we're so cool to have you with us. As you guys know, I'm your host, Kashawn Cottle, and listen, we've got a jam-packed show for you today, guys. We're going to be talking about quite a few matchups, the best matchups in college football this weekend, and we're going to provide you all the insight and coverage that you need for these matchups, what to expect, what to look forward to, and whether there will be any upsets that will be happening this weekend. We're going to be talking about all that and then some, guys. But before we get started, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all of our latest content that we post daily. And if you'd like to gain exclusive access to some of our content, be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar, and typing in "Sorry to Bother You" show. That way you gain access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily, and we'll leave all of our links in the description as well. None of this is possible without you guys as fans, so we're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you show us. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it then, shall we? Okay, let's start out with number 4 Texas going against Colorado State. This is going to be an interesting matchup for the Longhorns because they are going up against a Colorado State team that is bringing in a new offensive coordinator. And that offense coordinator is Matt Mum, whose father is Hal Hum, and as you guys know, Hal Hum alongside Mike Leach pretty much were the forefathers and the forerunners for the air raid offense, and you're pretty much getting it straight from the horse's mouth in terms of the air raid offense right here at Colorado State. And as you guys know, Colorado State quarterback Brandon Fowler-Nicolisi is going to be returning this year, and he had a pretty substantial season last year for Colorado State, putting up big numbers. However, Colorado State defense was what you consider below average and did not perform at the expectations, which normally tends to happen with air raid offenses or that those West Coast teams, as you'll say. And the cause for concern for Colorado State during this game is also going to be their defense, going up against a Texas team led by returner Quinn Ewers and head coach Steve Sarkisian, who are coming off a very successful 2023 campaign in which they won the Big 12, made it all the way to the college football playoff, eventually losing on the last play to Washington. They are losing a couple of players, though, obviously losing their top receiver, Adonai Mitchell. How will Quinn Ewers respond to that? We will see. And how will Quinn Ewers take the next step? As you guys know, Quinn Ewers is actually one of the Heisman favorites leading up into this season. With Texas going into the SEC, will that strength of schedule affect them? How will it affect them? Will they be up to the task of playing in the daunted SEC alongside fellow SEC newcomer in Oklahoma? How will they be able to respond to the physicality of that conference? And unfortunately for this first game matchup for Texas, you won't see much in terms of physicality, in terms of their ability to create pressure from the interior, as well as pick up blitz packages from the interior, which is something you're going to see a lot of in the SEC. So don't expect this game to be a sign of things to come in the SEC for Texas, because Colorado State just doesn't play that style of football. They're much more akin to what used to be known as the Pac-12, more closely resembles a Big 12 team as well. So I do expect it to be a high-scoring game for Texas. I don't expect the game to be close because even though Texas comes from the Big 12, they are a physical team. They had one of the best defenses in the country last year in terms of points. And I believe that the secondary for Texas this year is much better than it was last year. So I do believe the Texas is going to be able to take away a lot of the passing attack from Colorado State during this matchup. And I don't expect this game to be close. I expect Texas to get out to an early lead and sustain that lead. Right now, ESPN has Texas with a 97% chance of winning that game, and I'd go along with that. I think that's pretty on par. And right now, the over/under is currently at 59, and the spread is 932 for Texas both ways. And I would take that spread. I would take minus 32 right now. I have this game being a score of 41 to 14. So give or take on the spread, but that's what I expect the score to be. I expect Texas to be up by at least 20 points at halftime, and Colorado State's air raid offense just won't be able to get into a rhythm because of the secondary of Texas, and Colorado State doesn't do a good job running the ball. We know Texas is one of the best run stoppers in the country, especially last season, and bringing back those returners from the defensive line is going to prove to be difficult for Colorado State. So, like I said, right now I have the score being scored 42 to 14, Texas. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys think this is a possible upset alert for Texas? Or do you think that this is going to be a blowout game and leave it at that? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. I do believe that this is a great first game matchup for Texas, though, because, like I said, because the SEC schedule is so difficult this season, you don't want to schedule too difficult of an out-of-conference opponent. It's kind of similar to what LSU is doing. I mean, they not similar, sorry, they scheduled a very difficult opponent for them in USC. So we'll see how the SEC schedule is going to affect Texas, over the course of the season. I'm very much looking forward to that. But like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. In our next segment, guys, we are going to be discussing another highly touted SEC team. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You are not going to miss it. We will be right back. All right, bye. Welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we discussed the number 4 Texas and Colorado State matchup and why I don't expect that matchup to be a sign of things to come for Texas in the SEC, simply due to the fact that the play style of Colorado State does not coincide, does not match up with the play style of other teams in the SEC. But that's still a positive for Texas because it allows for them to ease into the season, to have an easier out-of-conference schedule. And that's something that's going to be necessary for all the teams in the SEC because the SEC is so difficult this season. And speaking of SEC teams, in this segment, guys, we are going to be discussing another SEC team, perhaps some consider the best team in the SEC, and that's Georgia, and their matchup against number 14 ranked Clemson. So as you guys know, Georgia was ranked as preseason number 1 going into this season, and Georgia is also predicted right now to make the college football playoff and be a top 4 seed. So with Georgia, what are some causes for concern in this matchup against Clemson? And it's pretty ironic. And this goes to show how much college football, sports in general, is theater, is theatricality, because the start of Georgia's dynasty, quote unquote, going back to the 2021 season, opened up with a matchup against Clemson. And that was a matchup in which many people predicted Clemson to win that game handedly. But Georgia came out and dominated Georgia came out and dominated Clemson defensively. And that was a sign of things to come for not just that season and winning the national championship, but also for the next 3 and 4 years. So, will this be the same thing? Will this be similar to that matchup 3 years ago? I believe it will be, but some cause for concern for Georgia are their offensive side, the offensive side of the ball. Obviously losing Brock Bowers and Matt McConkey, who were the 2 primary targets for Carson Beck. Carson Beck does return, and he's another person that was on the Heisman watch list. But how will the offense subside for Georgia? Who will be the safety valve? Who will be the primary target for Carson Beck going into the season? We know that Georgia's offense had some moments of inconsistency last season, and one of those moments came up against Alabama in the SEC championship game, in which they lost and was never really in the game if you watched it from start to finish. So what will Georgia do to subside for the losses of, like I said, Brock Bowers and Matt McConkey? And will Carson Beck be able to take that next step as not just a quote-unquote game manager, but also a quarterback that can create plays and extend drives and be the primary playmaker as opposed to just the facilitator of this Georgia offense? That's what is going to be indicative of Georgia's success, not just in this game, but also for the entire season. If Carson Beck can take that next step and be the Heisman candidate that many people expect him to be, then Georgia, yes, will once again be in contention to win a national championship. No one is particularly worried about Georgia on the defense side of the ball. They have many returners coming back from last season, and I am on par with other analysts. I don't believe Georgia's defense is going to be an issue. For me, the offense is what's going to be the issue. Will they be able to be consistent, and will they, like I said, be able to have Carson Beck take that next step? And this is an interesting matchup for Georgia against Clemson, because we know Clemson also had struggles on the offensive side of the ball. They're extremely inconsistent, led by DJ Uiagalelei, who is now at Florida State, who struggled once again for Florida State against Georgia Tech, but that wasn't Uiagalelei's fault. There was a lot of things going on in Florida State, but that's for another show, not for this show. But Clemson struggled offensively last year, and defensively they were a little better on that side of the ball. However, will Georgia's offense be able to make enough plays during this game? And listen, Clemson obviously loses 4 players from the defensive side of the ball. They were all ACC, but I don't really see it as losing as opposed to just retooling. They still have a great defensive line, and they still have defensive end TJ Parker. And back to the offensive side of the ball for Clemson, we're still unsure about the status for Trevor Etienne, whether he's going to play or not, because we know he was arrested for a DUI back in March. We're not sure if he's going to be suspended for that. So losing Trevor, if Trevor Etienne doesn't play, I do believe this game will be a blowout. But if Trevor Etienne plays, I do think this game will be a little closer for Clemson. And they also have new receivers in Brian Wesco and TJ Moore to help stretch the field. So I think this game is going to be a little closer than people expect. Right now, ESPN has Georgia with an 82% chance to win this game, and the over-under at 48, and the spread to be -12 for Georgia. I would not take that spread right now. Right now, I have Georgia squeaking this game out towards the end with a late touchdown drive or possibly late field goal. So I have Georgia winning this game by a score of 23-17. I do think this game will be close through and through. Apologies. And that's, like I said, due to the fact that Clemson has tools coming back on offense and retooling on defense. And there's just a lot of questions, a lot of cause for concern for Georgia on the offense side of the ball. And Though I do think Georgia's going to win this game, like I said, by a score of 23-17. I do think that Clemson is going to make it a close one. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you guys think this game is going to be close? Do you guys have Clemson pulling off the upset? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I would love to hear all about it. And in our next segment, guys, speaking of upsets, we're going to be talking about another very interesting matchup between Notre Dame and Texas A&M. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We will be right back. All right, welcome back. In case you missed the previous segment of our show, we discussed the matchup between Georgia and Clemson and why Georgia is possibly on upset alert in that game and why Clemson will make that game much closer than people expect it to be. And in this last segment, guys, we're going to be discussing another very interesting matchup involving, once again, an SEC team, and that's number 7 Notre Dame against number 20 Texas A&M. As you guys know, Marcus Freeman has retooled and reloaded for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, being very aggressive during the transfer season, bringing in offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, who was the offensive coordinator for Jaden Daniels and LSU, and he also brings in Riley Leonard, transfer quarterback from Duke. And as you guys know, Riley Leonard missed the majority of the season last year due to an injury. And this obviously lends credence to the transition that Marcus Freeman is trying to go to in terms of the offense, being more dynamic, being more keen in on spreading the football and spreading the field, and not just being focused on a more traditional pro style offense, which is something they've done in the Marcus Freeman era. So that is something to look out for Notre Dame, something to be wary of, cognizant of. And for Texas A&M, obviously they hired Mike Elko, new head coach, to start the new Mike Elko era after Jimbo Fisher left. And this is going to be a very interesting game, specifically for Texas A&M. As you guys know, their starting quarterback from last year, who is now, his name is slipping my mind, but if one of you guys can remember, just let me know. But anyway, Texas A&M starting quarterback from last year dealt with a number of injuries, but he'll be back again now, healthy. Notre Dame, going back to Notre Dame did lose their offensive tackle, Charles Jagusa, to a season-ending injury during practice, and now freshman Anthony Knapp will start in place of him. So that means Notre Dame is going to be starting 3 sophomores and 2 freshmen overall on the offensive line. And as you guys know, Texas A&M is returning their entire defensive line, who was one of the best in the country. So how will Notre Dame's offensive line do at handling the pressure that Texas A&M is going to bring, specifically from the outside edge rush? And that will be the tale of the tape, as it most often always is for college football games, will be the interior. Will Notre Dame's offensive line be able to handle the pressure that Texas A&M is going to bring? And listen, I know, as you guys know who watch this show consistently, I always say that Notre Dame is they're the biggest con artist in college football, because they somehow manage to always find jobs and always find ways to trick the media into making them believe that they're a legitimate top 10, top 5 team going into the preseason year in and year out. But they always reveal themselves over the course of the season that that's not what they are. They are barely a top 25 team at best. And I think that's the same. It's pretty much the same going into this year. I don't believe that Notre Dame is a top 5 team. I don't think they're a top 10 team. Will they make the playoff? Yes, possibly, due to the fact that it's now a 12-team playoff. But I don't think that Notre Dame is much better than they were last year. And I just don't think Notre Dame is that good of a team. And it's going to be revealed today against Texas A&M in Aggies Fieldhouse. And listen, it's the same. It's the same result year in and year out. Notre Dame goes up against another prominent opponent, another top 15, top 20, top 10, top 5 opponent, and it gets revealed who they really are. Listen, life has a way of autocorrecting itself, and Notre Dame might get a big win, and squeak out a close win, but they always revert back to the means, reverse their averages, and it always gets revealed who they truly are. Another prime example of that is a different sport, Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook had an amazing start to his career, was a tremendous talent, is a tremendous talent, elite level talent, but things kind of averaged out. He started out really hot and explosive and was putting up numbers, but once he starts to lose athleticism, you could see the skill set wasn't really there, and people started to see that Russell Westbrook was not playing winning basketball. So that's what I mean when I say life has a way of auto-correcting itself and reverting itself back to the means, where you're properly supposed to be allocated. And same thing with Notre Dame. They're just not very good, and I believe that's going to be revealed today against tomorrow against Texas A&M. And right now, Texas A&M, I believe, according to ESPN, has a 57% chance of winning this game. Allow me to check that. Sorry, it's changed. Notre Dame currently has 58.6% chance of winning this game. I'm not going with that. And right now, the over-under set at 46 with Texas A&M -3, which actually says a lot. And I would go with the spread. And I would take the under 46, due to the fact that Notre Dame is probably going to try to control the pace of the game. And I do believe that Texas A&M will win this game. I do believe it'll be a close game through and through. I do believe that Notre Dame will try to close the lead. Texas A&M will jump out to a lead going to the end of the third. They'll be up by about 10 points. And Notre Dame will try to sustain a drive, and they'll put a run together during the fourth to cut it to 3, or might even tie it. But I do believe Texas A&M will win this game by a score of 24-20, and I think that this is going to be much the same as last year for Notre Dame. They're just not that good. And what's going to be revealed as well over the course of the season is that Texas A&M in and of itself is also not that great of a team in comparison to other teams in the SEC, which really just says what you need to know about Notre Dame. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Do you think Notre Dame will win this game on the road, or do you think Texas A&M will pull off the upset? And I'm not even calling this an upset when Texas A&M wins, because it's not. Texas A&M is just the better team. The only reason that they're ranked number 20 and Notre Dame is ranked number 7 is because of the name. It's because it's Notre Dame. It's because of the Fighting Irish. It's because they have this quote-unquote aura about themselves that people believe makes them one of the elite in college football. But that's clearly not the case, and it's not indicative of what their performance have been. Their performances have been over the past 10-15 years, and their results, their performance is not that of an elite level college football program. And I'm just saying what everyone else in college football knows. I'm saying what everyone in the media knows about Notre Dame, but are afraid to talk about. And I'll just leave it at that, because there are many reasons why people don't want to talk about the why Notre Dame gets a lot of extra media attention. I'm not going to speculate on that, but I'm saying what everyone else in this industry, as well as in the college football world, knows, and that Notre Dame is not that good of a program. And it's unfortunate that they are getting airtime, they're getting publicity, when there's other great teams in college football that should be. For example, Texas A&M, for example, and LSU, who don't get talked about. But like I said, guys, I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What do you guys think the results of this matchup is going to be? With that being said, guys, it's been a wonderful show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all the latest content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/starterbodyshow/tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/starterbodyshow/tip. We'll be back again, guys, on Monday, same time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful weekend, guys, and continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and until next time, peace.